Good day, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Government and Public Service Reports on Atlantic Television Network. Here we bring you the news, events, and stories abound in the state system. ATN's appetite for in-depth, unbiased, and factual reportage is the driving principle for this program in order to bring government activities to the doorstep of the people. We'll go through the highlights of today's reports. Federal government commends community strength against floods in Borno State. New 6.5 million naira Hajj deposit for 2025 in Bauchi. Nigerian immigration to establish e-border stations. Real estate fund for affordable mortgages launches by the federal government. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll go straight into the details of the stories. Stay with us. Welcome back, and now we dive into the details of today's stories. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has admonished traditional rulers not to use their privileged positions to victimize their opponents and those who do not support them during the process of ascension to their ancestral throne. Fubara said the monarchs should rather see themselves as fathers and kings to all without prejudice. The governor urged the royal fathers to work with all sections of their subjects in their domains with fatherly hearts in order to promote peaceful coexistence, harmony, and enduring development. He further urged them to discard feelings of animosity and resist the inclination to undo anybody for whatever reasons in their domains, but rather courageously carry everybody along with a heart of forgiveness. He also challenged the monarchs to partner with the state government to ensure peace and accelerated development in the state and their communities. He gave the council while presenting certificates of recognition and staff of office to two first-class traditional rulers in Ikore and Obiakpo local government areas of the state in the government house in Port Harcourt on Tuesday evening. This was contained in a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Nelson Chukwudi, and sent to newsmen on Wednesday morning. The first-class traditional rulers are His Majesty King Marcus Oduma Wokie, Inye Weale Elele, Okinari Elele Alemini in Ikore local government area, and His Majesty King Ndamzi Nsirim, Inye Weale Rumeme Kingdom in Obiakpo local government area. Fubara stated that what the government was doing was officially recognizing what their communities had done through the traditional process of selection and installation, adding that the stools were already recognized by the law in the state. He urged the two monarchs to see their recognition as an opportunity to play their role in supporting good governance in the state while protecting the interests of their people. He emphasized the need to forgive those who may have offended them in the past and ensure that all stakeholders are carried along in the scheme of things. The governor said, quoting him, "What we are doing here is just a fulfillment of what is already existing. The stool of Inyeweale Elele has already been gazetted and existed, and the process for selection is already done. What we just did here is official government recognition." He advised the Inyeweale Elele, Okinale Elele Alemeni, His Majesty King Marcus Oduma Wokie, to work with all stakeholders in the kingdom to ensure peace and security in the community, while urging them to synergize with other traditional rulers in the state to ensure that the state government succeeds in its deliverance of good governance and protection of lives and properties in the state and with the people. The governor added, on that of His Majesty King Ndamzi Nsirim, fortunately the stool that you are occupying was already recognized and gazetted by the previous administration. What we are also doing here is that after the process of selection of the new head, which is the king, it is the duty of government to officially give you a letter of recognition and staff of office. So what we are doing is not a new thing or creating a new stool. but recognizing what already exists. We are only bringing you into the council of traditional rulers recognized by the government, he stressed. Fubara went on to appeal to the monarchs to be fair and just to all and ensure that they always relate with their subjects so that they can appreciate the people's needs and better to work with the government to address them, advising them that the positions they occupy should be good and serve the people selflessly. Fubara emphasized, it is an opportunity that God has created for you. It is not for you to use it to undo your people. In the process of this selection, you might have had one issue or the other with whoever. People might have been against you, but in the end, what is important is that you are there now. Carry everybody along, have a heart of forgiveness. As a traditional ruler, everybody belongs to you. Work with them. Let me wish you a successful reign. Let your reign be remembered for good. Let your reign be a testimony that at this particular time that you ascended this throne, it is for purpose, rule well, and God will be with you, he admonished. The traditional rulers that the people confessed in his administration and assured them of his government support to enable them to succeed. The governor further reminded the monarchs that their recognition has brought them into the River State Council of rulers, advising them to bring their wealth of experience to the service of the state, while mobilizing their people to contribute meaningfully to the peace and sustainable development of the state. Earlier in his opening remarks, the Commissioner for Chieftaincy Affairs and Community Development, Engineer Charles Amadi, introduced the two traditional rulers to the governor for the presentation of their certificates of recognition and staff of office. He noted that the monarchs had successfully gone through the required traditional selection and installation processes and had been found worthy to be recognized by the government and therefore fitting for staff office and certification of recognition. Still in Rivers State, Nigerian copyright has apprehended 3 bookshop owners in Rivers State over alleged involvement in book. Mr. Abdul Babatunde, the Director NCC Port Harcourt Directorate, disclosed this on Tuesday shortly after an anti-piracy operation in Metropolis. Babatunde stated that the commission confiscated suspected pirated books worth over 3 million naira during the operation. He said that the suspects were currently undergoing investigation and would be prosecuted after facts about their involvement in the act has been established. The NCC official said it was part of the Commission's mandate to protect and promote the rights of authors and other investors in the copyright ecosystem. According to him, the Commission also ensures that authors and artists get the reward for their hard work. The Commission is committed to seeing that the activities of pirates in Rivers and Bayelsa are reduced to the barest minimum, he said. Babatunde said the NCC Director General, Dr. John Asien, had zero tolerance for piracy and violation of copyright laws. He warned booksellers, printers, and importers against stealing people's intellectual property. The director also urged members of the public not to patronize pirates, saying, doing so is a criminal offense. Patronizing pirates is in contravention of Section 44 of the Copyright 2022 Act. Patronizing piracy is to kill creativity and the economy. Let us buy our books from publishers and authorized dealers, and not from middlemen, not from printers, and not from roadside dealers, he said. Babatunde urged members of the public to support the Commission with credible information capable of bringing and enabling to tackle piracy in the state. One of the suspects, Ms. Chinyere Izediora, told newsmen that she joined the business newly and had no knowledge of the anti-piracy law. Quoting her, I heard about book piracy for the first time when the Commission came for arrest in our shop. I urge the Commission to sensitize the public more about the issue. The public needs to be more informed about the law, she said. Nigerian police force has refuted claims of insensitivity of student kidnappings in Imo State, highlighting recent operational successes in fighting against crime. According to a statement by Force Headquarters signed by ACP Muyiwa Adejobi, the Imo State Command has achieved significant milestones, particularly in combating kidnapping. The statement revealed the arrest of 5 suspects linked to kidnappings in Obinze, Avu, Ihiagu, as well as rescue of kidnapped victims. The suspects, identified as Umaru Usman, Tukur Yao, Musbao Sabu, Abdul Ibrahim, and Jubrin Idris, were arrested on August 21, 2024 in Avu, Imo State. Additionally, the police announced the arrest of Wauba Alex, a 25-year-old male from Eza local government area of Ebonyi State, who was caught attempting to rob 2 residents at gunpoint near Alandima Primary School, Owerri. A locally made pistol, 2 rounds of live ammunition, and torchlights were recovered from the suspect. The police reassured citizens of its commitment to combating heinous crimes and bolstering security measures. Speaking on the matter, Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Adiola Egbetokun, PhD, MPM, emphasized the implementation of proactive and reactive measures to address crimes such as these. In a different story, Defense Headquarters yesterday vowed that no matter how long it takes, the military will continue to hunt for the killers of the 17 officers and soldiers who were on a legitimate duty to ensure peace and security in the Delta State community. It also noted that notorious terrorist and bandit leader Bello Toji, who has been having a field day on social media, using TikTok to threaten communities and celebrate his conquests, as well as display huge sums of cash collected as ransoms from kidnapped victims, would soon be captured by security agencies. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS General Christopher Musa, made this known at a media briefing after a joint military, police, and paramilitary security meeting yesterday in Abuja. Speaking through the Chief of Defense Training and Operation, Major General Emeka Onomajuru, on the latest Okwama activity, the CDS said, "People have been asking questions about what is happening in Okwama. I want to let you know that the killing of the 17 personnel of the Nigerian army will not go unpunished. Do you remember how long it took to get Osama bin Laden? So we are working on getting the killers of the 17 military personnel. No matter how long it takes, we'll hunt them down." General Musa said the Defense Headquarters was reviewing operations in the northwest zone of the country with a view to better synergy, considering the results and noting that the various operations will soon be brought together and harmonized under one commander for more effectiveness. He called on communities in the northwest comprising Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, amongst others, to desist from supporting or providing terrorists with information, noting that when troops who were embarking on a fighting patrol had their MRAP vehicles stuck in the swamp, it was locals of the community who informed the terrorists, and they came and were making social media events of the situation. Quoting him, "On the issue of Toji, like I said, he's just a deranged individual who feels power, but I can bet you that it is just a matter of time. We are going to get him, and I can assure you with the shortest possible time, we are going to address that issue. Those following him are a bunch of deranged individuals with no allegiance to anybody. That is why we all must work together and come together as members of the armed forces and security agencies to deny them the ability to move freely within our communities. Please do not give them any support. Do not give them information or movement of troops, because this is what is happening. Most of the area where this thing is continuing, because we have informants within the communities. I have always reminded Nigerians that asymmetric warfare is something that should not be allowed to commence, because once it's done, it is a very difficult situation. You are dealing with non-state actors that are not wearing uniforms. You don't know them, but they know you. And between the communities, if you don't have the support of the community, it makes it extremely difficult. Nigerian government has praised the resilience of Borno State communities in the face of recent devastating flood that ravaged the state. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, conveyed the government's sympathies to the victims and commended them for their strength. In a statement, it read, "On behalf of the federal government, I extend my deepest sympathies to the government and people of Borno State over flooding that have ravaged Maiduguri and its environs following the Alao Dam overflow." The minister said, "This tragedy has destroyed properties, homes, and critical infrastructure, displacing families and disrupting livelihoods. We share the grief and suffering of all those affected." The minister emphasized the government's support for the victims, particularly those who lost their lives and means of livelihoods from the flood. He said, "Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims. We stand with displaced families and empathize with their pain and distress during this trying time." President Bola Tinubu has directed relevant ministries and agencies to collaborate with Borno State government to provide urgent relief and assistance. Minister Idris highlighted the strength and resilience of the people of Borno State, expressing confidence that together they will overcome this tragedy. Do remember that we are open for advert placements, bookings, and commercials. You can connect with us on our ATN socials and watch us: Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok Atlantic TV Network 1, X, formerly known as Twitter, Atlantic TV/net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has approved the sum of 6.5 million naira minimum initial deposit for 2025 Hajj from the state intending pilgrims. This is disclosed in a press release issued on Tuesday by the Information Minister, Bauchi State Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board, Muhammad Yunusa. The statement said, "The collection will commence Wednesday, September 11, 2024. The board has no option rather than to peg this amount considering the cost of 2024 Hajj fare, which amounted to the sum of over 8 million naira due to the devaluation of naira against dollar." Imam Abdurrahman advised the intending pilgrims to pay above the minimum from 6.5 million naira up to 8 million naira so as to enable them easily settle the final fare when announced by the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria. He reminded that all payments are made through bank tellers, noting that the board does not entertain cash payments. On the mode of collection, the statement revealed, those who are willing to perform Hajj through local governments should collect a customized Hajj bank teller from the Hajj Affairs Officer at the local government secretariat to pay the deposit, and for the board's pilgrims BS1, the pay point has been transferred to the Jais Bank. The intending pilgrims are therefore requested to enroll themselves under Hajj Savings Scheme HSS at the Jais Bank. You're watching Government and Public Service reports on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to Govt and Public Service reports on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Residents of Maiduguri town has been displaced by water from the Alau Dam are beginning to return to their homes as flood water recedes gradually. Reports are that many of the flood victims who slept outside said that though the water had subsided, they wanted to assess their losses. We are just rushing to see what's left of our homes and to salvage any remnants of our property we can still use, Ali Bana of Gwange Ward said. Musa Abdullahi of Gomari Ward said he was able to get to his house. My house is still flooded. From the looks of things, we still have more days to spend outside before we can move back in, Abdullahi said. Meanwhile, a situation report on the flood by the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said more than 239,000 people were affected by the flood. The floods have forced some of the affected people to move spontaneously to the Muna IDP camp, which was already hosting over 50,000 internally displaced persons. Government authorities have evacuated residents in high-risk riverine areas to several locations, the report noted. The flood incident has affected communication, power, and water supply in most parts of the town. Nigeria Immigration Service, NIS, has sought the support of the Jigawa state government towards the establishment of 3 additional e-border stations in the state. The Assistant Controller General of the service in charge of Northwest, Haladu Usman, stated this during a courtesy visit to Governor Umar Namadi on Tuesday in Dutse. Usman said establishment of the e-border system stations would check the movement of criminal elements and smuggling in the borders. The e-border project is a continuous one, and it is meant to monitor the border to reduce the incidences of border crossing by criminals involved in trans-border crimes. Quoting him, "So we will want to appeal for your kind attention to look into ways of assisting the service so that it can establish more e-border stations in Kumsa, Dangwanki, and Galadi. We have these 3 places and the service is more than willing to build more e-stations." He continued to assure you of our support to ensure that these 3 areas are covered, and the state controller liaises with SSG to see what we can do to ensure that we give you all the necessary support, the governor said. The federal government has taken a step towards addressing the country's housing deficit by launching the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Real Estate Investment Fund, MREIF. This initiative is set to revolutionize the housing sector by providing low-cost mortgage financing options for eligible Nigerians. The MREIF serves as a key component of the 1 Million Homes Presidential Initiative, marking an important milestone in the government's efforts to make affordable home ownership a reality for millions of Nigerian citizens. A statement from the Federal Ministry of Finance said a high-level meeting was convened MREIF. At the meeting, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, highlighted the transformative potential of the fund and emphasized the MREIF's ability to offer cost-effective mortgage options to broad sections of the population, especially pension holders. He noted that the initiative aligns with the government's vision of providing accessible housing solutions through the 1 Million Home Program. The launch of this fund represents a major stride in delivering affordable homes to Nigerians. With the support of the pension and financial sectors, we are confident that this initiative will transform the housing landscape and create significant opportunities for home ownership, Edun said. The MREIF will operate within the market-driven framework, ensuring that all regulatory standards are adhered to while promoting broad accessibility. Dr. Armstrong Ume Takan, the CEO of Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, reiterated the importance of regulatory compliance and market efficiency. He stressed that the fund would be managed transparently with the interests of future homeowners at the forefront of its operation. Dr. Takan further explained that the MREIF is designed not only to boost housing access, but also to strengthen the mortgage market, creating a viable and sustainable pathway for home ownership across Nigeria. To ensure the successful implementation of the MREIF, the federal government has engaged prominent leaders for the pension and financial sectors. These stakeholders include Dr. Oluwatoyin Maiden, Accountant General of the Federation, Wale Odutola, ARM Pensions, Fumi Ekundayo, COCTC Trustees, Sani Yakubu, Coordinator MREIF, Temitayo Ajayi, Viteva Advisory, Saadu Gigi, Managing Director, PAL Pensions. Others are Tony Odutola, the Deputy Chief Investment Officer of FCMB Pensions Limited, Nuhu Modibobo, Executive Director, Access Pensions, Victor Baisong, Managing Director, CEO, Trust Fund Pensions, Emmanuel Thomas, Executive Director, Nupemco, Oluwakemi Ugu, Managing Director, CEO, Nupemco, and Christopher Bajowa, Managing Director, CEO, Access Pensions. The above-mentioned experts representing key institutions are set to play a pivotal role in shaping the structure and deployment of the MREIF. Their combined experience in pension fund management, investment advisory, and real estate financing will provide the necessary expertise to ensure the fund's success. This will happen by offering affordable financing solutions. The initiative will address the existing barriers that prevent many Nigerians from owning their homes. For pension account holders, in particular, the fund offers an innovative means to secure mortgage loans at reduced interest rates. Nigerian Meteorological Agency (NIMET) has predicted thunderstorms and rains from Wednesday to Friday across the country. NIMET's weather outlook, released on Tuesday in Abuja, envisaged thunderstorms above parts of Borno, Adamawa, Taraba, Yobe, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna states during the morning hours on Wednesday in the northern region. According to NIMET, thunderstorms are expected over parts of Kano, Borno, Katsina, Adamawa, Kaduna, Taraba, Zamfara, Kebbi, and Jigawa states during the afternoon and evening hours. In the north-central regions, thunderstorms are anticipated over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, and other Niger states during the morning hours. Later in the day, thunderstorms are anticipated over the parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Benue, Kogi, Niger, and Kwara states. In the southern region, thunderstorms are expected over the parts of Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, Ogun, Ondo, Lagos, Edo, Delta, Cross River, and Akwa Ibom states during the morning hours, it said. It also predicted intermittent rains over parts of Enugu State, Ebonyi, Abia State, Anambra, Edo, Ekiti, Oyo, Rivers, and Cross River, Delta, and Akwa Ibom states later in the day. According to NIMET, thunderstorms are expected over parts of Taraba, Adamawa State during the morning hours in the northern region. Still on the northern region, on thunderstorms this time, it's said there would be thunderstorms anticipated in Kano, Kaduna, Bauchi, Jigawa, Katsina, Kebbi, Adamawa, and Taraba states later in the day. In the north-central, rains are anticipated over parts of Plateau, Benue states over the morning hours. In the afternoon and evening, thunderstorms are expected over parts of the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, Kogi, Niger, Kwara, and Benue states, and southern intermittent rains anticipated over Enugu and Anambra states during the morning hours. It continued, NIMET envisaged intermittent rains over parts of Ondo, Edo, Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, Imo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Abia, Cross River, amongst other states later in the day. The agency predicted thunderstorms over a lot of northern states in the northern region during the Friday morning hours. It also envisioned thunderstorms in Taraba, Borno, Gombe, Bauchi, Adamawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, and Zamfara states later in the day. According to NIMET, the rains are expected in the morning hours of Nasarawa and Niger states in the north-central region. Later in the day, localized thunderstorms are expected over parts of Kogi, Federal Capital Territory, Kwara, and Niger states, and southern cloudy skies are expected in the morning hours. Later in the day, thunderstorms are expected over the inland cities with prospects of intermittent rains over the coastal cities, it said. It further urged residents to avoid flood-prone areas as there is a high risk of likelihood of urban flooding in major cities due to the heavy downpours. According to NIMET, strong winds may precede the rains in areas where thunderstorms are likely to occur. The public should take additional precautions and adhere to safety advisories issued by relevant authorities. Public are advised to stay informed through weather updates from NIMET and all other of its operations. Airline operators are advised to get airport-specific weather reports from NIMET in order to plan their operations smoothly. Federal government yesterday rejected accusations of rights abuse made against it by the United Kingdom Trade Union Congress over the arrest of Joe Ajero, president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, insisting that nobody, including the NLC president, is above the law in Nigeria. Recall that president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Mr. Joe Ajero, was arrested and detained by the Department of State Services, DSS, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, en route to London to attend a conference of the Trade Union Congress, TUC of UK. The federal government, in a statement by the Special Advisor of the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the NLC president was arrested by operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, because he refused to honor the invitation of a law enforcement agency carrying out an investigation. Quoting him, the Nigerian government was wrongly and falsely accused of rights abuse because the NLC president, Joe Ajero, was stopped from traveling abroad after he snubbed the invitation of law enforcement agencies conducting an ongoing investigation. Clearly, under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of 1999 as amended, no person is above the summons of law enforcement agencies and law investigations. Government positions came on a day Ajero gave insight into his ordeals in the hands of operatives of DSS and other security agencies following his Monday arrest. He also confirmed to reporters yesterday that the DSS has released his seized international passports and mobile phones. This is even as the secret police said yesterday that its presence at the Abuja office of the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, did not amount to invasion, adding that its operatives were there for investigation. However, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar lampooned the federal government over Ajero's arrest and takeover of the Abuja office of SERAP. At press time yesterday, it was gathered that the secret police had pulled its operatives out of SERAP office, to which they laid siege on Monday. Onanuga said, "We are not aware that there is anyone in the United Kingdom or anywhere in Europe and the United States, trade union leaders inclusive, who will flagrantly ignore the invitations or summons of the M15 or Scotland Yard or treat the FBI with the level of disdain Mr. Ajero has subjected law enforcement agencies in Nigeria. In the United States, for example, former President Donald Trump has been subject of numerous investigations and prosecutions in courts in several states since he left office. Mr. Hunter Biden, son of the President of the United States, has been the subject of lawful investigation by the FBI. We therefore reject any notion and allusion to human rights violation in Nigeria. The accusation made by the Trade Union Congress in the United Kingdom are thus unfounded and based on a misunderstanding of the situation." Mr. Bayo Onanuga continued, saying, "Besides, the Nigerian government is being led by a pro-democracy activist president who will do everything to protect civil liberties and the rights of all citizens. There is no adversarial relationship between the labor movement in Nigeria and the government." While labor unions and the government may not always agree on policy direction, the government has consistently shown readiness to engage on any issue with labor despite the latter's political partisanship. Contrary to the erroneous impression being created, the invitation extended by the Department of State Services, the DSS, to Mr. Joe Ajero has nothing to do with his role as the president of the NLC. As a responsible citizen of Nigeria, Mr. Ajero should honor any invitations from our security agencies and resolve any issues that may arise during the investigation, instead of stirring adverse public opinion against the security agencies. It is worth reminding Nigerians and the global community that the federal government recognizes that the labor movement exists to protect and defend interests of its members. What is also worth noting is that labor, in most cases, only advances ideological positions that fly in the face of economic realities. Many ideological stances of the labor unions in Nigeria in the past have only stunted the economic growth and development of the country, and even further compromised the material well-being of the workers and the poor people they protect. A case in point was the strong opposition of the NLC and TUC to the sale of Port Harcourt and Kaduna refineries to Blue Star Consortium promoted in 2007 by Aliko Dangote and Femi Otedola during the administration of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. 17 years after the labor movement's first successor government of Umar Yar'Adua to cancel the sale of 2 refineries, none of the 4 government-owned refineries worked. In the obverse,